Good day, Farouk here at Direct Hub, ready to be at your service to help you pass your FE exam. Today we're going to talk about 5 things you should be doing to make sure you're prepared just good enough to give your FE exam your best shot. And your best shot is all you need to hit that passing score. Let's just get into it. Number 1, build a study plan. You want to build a study structure, a study routine, and the right study habits that work just right for you. So probably you already work full-time as an engineer. Maybe you have a family. You have a lot of other responsibilities that you have to take care of. You do not want to add constantly thinking about the FE exam in a way where you're thinking about what you're going to study, how you're going to study, where will you study, what topic. That's already too much to think about. You need to write that down and you need to plan your study sessions. That's what a study plan is going to help you do. So when you're making this study plan, you want to be specific and you want to be realistic. So you want to write down, let's say, for the specific topic you want to study, let's say you're doing mathematics, starting with the FE exam specifications, math and statistics. You want to write that down and you want to specify how will you study? What specific resources are you using? Are you using an online course like my Direct Hub Civil FE Review course that organizes these topics for you? So let's say you're going to use that and you want to write that down, and you do want to write down your goal for the study session. How many practice problems do you want to solve? Or maybe what do you intend to do? Are you going to read the lesson notes, read some conceptual notes, take your own notes? What's your study routine like? Test things out. You will develop something that works just right for you and that will help you retain this information. So that's what you want to do. You want to be specific. Let's say you want to write at the beginning, I want to do for my next study session, 5 practice problems. So start small and don't shoot too high. Don't overwhelm yourself too early. So let's say you write down, you want to do 5 practice problems for mathematics. And then on top of that, you do want to specify where will you study and what time of day. So let's say you want to study specifically for a 2-hour time block. Ideally, that's what most students do during the week and more time on the weekend. Let's say you shoot for 2 hours for that time block. You want to write, where will you do that? Are you going to do it maybe at home, very early in the morning, maybe late in the evening, or maybe after work where it's quiet, you're not getting distracted, or possibly you want to go to a library, a cafe. You want to find the right environment that keeps you focused where you're putting in quality study time. So you also want to write that down for that 2-hour time block. And then you really have an idea of what you're going to do rather than just going by it freely during the day, which is already too much for you to handle on top of what you have going on. You want to have an idea of how you're going to study, what topics, where will you study, and you want to develop a routine. The more you keep doing it, the easier it gets over time. And we know it might take you, let's say, to build the study habits 2 weeks, 3 weeks, especially if you've been out of school for some time. That's okay. Stick to it. Stick to it. The goal is to build the study mindset that works just right for you. Your goal is to hold yourself accountable, to stay in control, and to stay on track leading up to your FE exam date. If you're preparing for your Civil FE exam, below is a link to a 2023 Civil FE exam study planner. You can download as a PDF, and also you can print a local print stuff. You want to print and bind it, and with that, you can start now. You can start today building your study plan. Number 2, book your exam date, but only do this when you feel like you've developed solid quality study habits and a solid study routine that you feel good about. You feel good about your overall learning. You feel good about these practice problems where you're making mistakes. You're learning from your mistakes and you're really understanding why you got a problem wrong. You're learning the concepts and you're building your confidence. You're building your confidence day after day, study session after the next. Each day you're getting better. So when you have that, when you feel confident about your learning and your studying, now you have a rough idea and a good idea when you should book your exam date. Maybe you want to book it in 3 months, 4 months, 6, maybe even 1 year. It's really up to you. It depends on you and your study routine and structure and overall lifestyle. Ideally, most of us need at least 3 months to feel prepared and good enough to take this exam. So you want to book it in the future to put that deadline on yourself, to force yourself to be under a deadline and to get uncomfortable. That type of uncomfortable is a good thing. It's a good type of uncomfortable because now we're going to be forced to change things up. Maybe now we won't study a topic that we're good at. We're just going to review that, practice real quick, do a few practice problems, and focus on the weak areas. Focus on the fundamentals, the important problems, the important concepts, and the important type of problem solving that we need to master before our exam date. So that's going to make us do that. And that's going to also force us maybe to show up more, to study more, to show up consistently. So that's so important. And that type of uncomfortable has to be there for something like this FE exam. So do book your exam date. It's going to force you to do things you never thought you're capable of doing. I highly recommend that you book it to put that deadline on yourself. This is the most important thing you should be doing. Number 3, learn the right way and do the right kind of practice. So we know this exam is 110 questions and we have about 5 hours and 20 minutes to finish those 110 questions. So we know we're under pressure, under that time pressure, so we have to do this efficiently. And most importantly, we have to do this on our own. We have to do this using our own problem solving, our own skills, and our own way of tackling these problems, really knowing what we're trying to find, then doing our best to develop a solution and finally arriving at an answer. So that's your own problem solving that you need to develop. So that should be your top priority. Develop your own problem solving abilities. And the best way to do that is not by just looking at solutions. Let go of these solutions. Only use these for feedback and only use them when you're really stuck. Do not immediately look at solutions. Each practice problem you do, you should be solving on your own. You should be reading that problem statement slow. You should be writing your givens, what you really want to find, noting down the units, and using the handbook and applying your skills and what you understood conceptually to do your best to arrive at an answer with the right steps. And do take it slow, especially at the beginning. So you're making sure you're writing each step and you really know why you're doing each step. That right there is what we mean by your own problem solving. And if you get stuck, that's okay. That's why the solution is there. But the solution is there not for you to look at it and just look at it and tell yourself, okay, that steps make sense. It makes sense. Okay, I see. Okay, they got that answer. That is not learning. That's not the right kind of practice. That is falling for the illusion of competence. So we're looking at this and telling ourselves we understand it and we recognize that we understand it, but recognition is not practice. Recognition is not active recall. It's not active practice where we're doing these problems our own, where we're really trying to recall information we learned in the past, steps we learned from an instructor, steps we learned from a textbook. We're applying active recall. Again, recognition and recognizing steps and just looking at them or maybe looking at a video is not the same thing as active recall. You want to practice active recall by doing these problems on your own, making mistakes, getting the answer, and going through that whole struggle. That's good. If you keep doing that, it gets easier and you're making sure you're getting better. And the same is true for the quizzes we do. When we do these timed quizzes to mimic those exam day conditions, because we know this exam is timed, so we have to get used to that time pressure, solving problems a little fast. You want to get faster. You want to practice time management. You want to solve these problems faster each time. You want to take little shortcuts, but only take shortcuts if you're not making silly mistakes. So you do want to do that through time quizzes, and that's what all my students do in my course through my time quizzes in the Direct Hub course. Then you want to finish off your preparation by full-length practice exams. So that's the right kind of practice. We need to do full-length practice exams, mimicking those exam day conditions, solving problems in the moment, using that handbook, using our calculator, practicing time management. We want to do at least 2 full-length practice exams before our exam date. That's what we mean by the right kind of learning and the right kind of practice. Number 4, master the basics and master the fundamentals. In terms of the basics, let's say you see yourself make the same basic mistakes. Let's say it's basic unit conversions, or possibly let's say not knowing how to plug in values in an equation where you see yourself make some mistakes for some reason. Or maybe not knowing how to plug in the equation in the calculator where you're getting the correct answer. Or possibly not knowing how to draw a basic free body diagram. Because we know these basics show up a lot, and you notice that because these are the basics that we're going to see in future topics and in a lot of practice problems. So we need to take immediate action now to not making these mistakes and making sure that we're mastering these basic skills. Now we move into the fundamentals. In terms of the fundamentals, let's say we're talking about the basic topics. This exam is the fundamentals of engineering exam. Do not study stuff that's way beyond the fundamentals. This is when it's important where you use relevant resources, relevant concepts, relevant practice problems to the fundamentals of engineering exam. So don't use resources that go way overboard. You need to be really good at the fundamentals. And from experience, these mostly come from the first section. You really have to be good at that first section. You have to be good at your mathematics. You have to be good at your economics, your ethics, your statics. Statics is so important. Mechanics and materials, your fluid mechanics. These are the fundamentals. We have to get really good at those and squeeze in as many points out of these topics as we can, because we know these problems tend to be a lot more predictable than the second section. Because we know in the second section, we have more the discipline-specific topics, especially for the civil FE exam. And these tend to be a lot more conceptual. They're going to be a lot more involved. They're going to be a lot more like real-life analysis. So those are harder to prepare for. The fundamentals come mainly from the first section. So you have to be really good at that. And also, on exam day, imagine this. You go through that first section, which is what you'll see. Let's say you're taking your exam in the morning. You finish that, then you take the 25-minute break. Let's say you finish it and you feel devastated. You feel defeated after going through that first section. Now think about it. How are you going to feel when you go into the second section? You're going to feel not confident. You're going to walk into that second section with a not so good state of mind. We want to prevent that. We want to prevent that by really feeling good or feeling okay about that first section. So on exam day, we're going to run through that first section efficiently. We're going to flag the ones we don't know. That's okay. And we're going to do our best to squeeze as many points as we can because we covered this really well. We mastered it. So we know we covered that. Then after taking that, we feel okay. We feel confident. We take that 25-minute break, then walk into the second section with feeling good, with feeling confidence. And we're going to use that confidence to finish the exam. No, this doesn't mean you're not going to study the second section topics. This means you need to master the fundamentals, which mainly come from the first section. And you know you're going to squeeze a lot of points out of that first section. Then in the second section, you're going to still study it. You're going to still learn the concepts and you're going to still do practice, but you're not going to have to worry so much about knowing it all because it's so vast. There's a lot of concepts in that second section. You want to squeeze as many points out of that first section. And if you do good on that, you're going to squeeze some points out of the second section and you're likely going to hit that passing score. Number 5. Review, review, review. Do not go from one topic after the next without reviewing what you already learned in the past. If we do that, we're going to forget, and that's perfectly natural. So to forget less and to not forget, we need to have a review structure. So we can go about this different ways. So let's say one simple way is for that study week, 1 day a week, all you do is review. So you're going to review previous topics, previous concepts, previous practice problems. All you do is review for that day. Nothing new, no new practice problems, no new information. All you're doing for that day is reviewing. So that's a simple way. Another way we can go about this is reviewing, let's say, a topic after topic. So let's say, for example, I finished mathematics and statistics. It's a big topic and a very important one. It covers a lot, covers vector statistics, calculus, and all of that. So maybe we want to review that immediately. As soon as we finish all of that, we do review that. So that's another way. It just really depends on your mastery. And if you feel like you have that gut feeling and urge that you need to go back and review, do it. That's telling you something. So always listen to your gut feeling when reviewing. So maybe you do not want to review immediately. Maybe you think, okay, it's too fresh right now. I'm going to review after, let's say I cover 3 topics. For example, for the Civil FE exam, you might want to cover math and statistics, ethics, economics. Then you have that gut feeling. You're like, okay, I'm starting to feel like I'm forgetting what I learned initially, especially from mathematics and statistics. That's when you need to review. So you need to review mathematics and statistics. And when you review, you want to focus on reviewing the basic concepts. Concepts are always number 1. Look over your notes, look over the summary equation sheets, focus on the concepts. Then you want to attempt a few practice problems. You're not redoing everything. You're not relearning everything. Redo some practice problems. See if you can recall what you learned. See if you can apply active recall when redoing some practice problems. You want to keep things fresh and you want to re-engage the same neural pathways that you had when you first learned these topics or these practice problems. You want to make these pathways stronger. You want to reinforce them and you want to build your muscle memory. So reviewing is so important. Do not just move forward without reviewing. It's very important. Make sure that you review.